Hey, this is Daniel Grove, and I've got a new awesome product online for you, and it is a set of gears with some beautiful materials. But even if you're not interested in buying that, you can make your own gears, that's fine. But I'm going to show you how to animate them in the easiest way possible to also get the most realistic movement and interlocking of the gears themselves, and you're going to love it. I'll also share with you a free add-on that I use to make the teeth, which is so much better than Blender's built-in gear creation add-on. So let's get started. At this current time of me recording this video, I'm going to be adding a few more wheels and maybe even some more materials as well. So don't be surprised if what you buy is a little bit bigger than this, but there's basically three components to this kit. First is the gear cores. These are all the middle pieces of the gears. I made a whole bunch of different styles based on real world examples that I saw online, and I added a little bit of flourish and fanciness to them to make them a little bit more eye candy. But a lot of these are based on real wheels and gears. And yeah, just a good variety of stuff from sci-fi styles to old-timey gears as well. These are completely scalable and can be any size you want them to be. Up here are the actual gear teeth. Now these are not really intended on being scaled up or down unless you scale all the teeth that you're using in one scene, if you scale them uniformly. We'll get to the why later. There is actually quite a bit behind gear teeth and how gears work. So I have made a number of gear teeth here from 8 teeth all the way up to 100 teeth, and I'm going to make some other bigger ones as well for more building possibilities. These are the more classic spiked spur teeth, and over here are the more blocky, smaller square type teeth that you'll find in a lot of industrial applications. So what you want to do is pick your wheel cores first. I'm going to grab a few of these random ones that I really like. I'm going to Shift D and move them over here. And then I'm going to grab some teeth that I like, and I show you how to match them up. I'm going to use the more classical spur teeth, so I'm going to get a 100 tooth, a medium here, there. Oh, I need one more. Let's get a small one. And I'm going to Shift D and move these over here. Okay, so I'm going to be building a little gear train over here. Let's just line these up randomly like that. Here are some really helpful keyboard shortcuts to help you get things lined up when you're doing this kind of work. First, you select your target. I'm going to press Shift S. And this handy menu pops up. I'm going to go to the bottom one, cursor to selected. So now my 3D cursor is exactly where this wheel core is. Now I want to snap these teeth onto this one. So to do that, with the teeth selected, Shift S, and now go to the top one up on the top, selection to cursor. So now the teeth that I selected is exactly lined up with the wheel. And now instead of scaling the teeth up, like I said earlier, not to do that, we're going to scale the wheel down to fit inside the teeth. There we go. You can leave it inside, or you can SZ to have it kind of pop up out like that. Depends on what look you're going for. I'm going to do that a few more times to attach these teeth onto these wheels. Let's make this one the really big one with 100 teeth. So Shift S, mouse on the bottom to put my cursor there. Select the teeth, Shift S, select the top one to put my teeth where the wheel is. And then I'm just going to scale my wheel down to match where the teeth is. And I'm actually going to scale my teeth up as well, because I've seen on a lot of larger gears, they have really deep teeth like that. It also just looks cool. Let's do similar with the rest of these. I'll speed this part up. Okay, next is we want to join these two objects together, the core and the teeth, so that they are one object. So I like to personally select the core and then the teeth. And when I press Ctrl J to join them, it keeps the name of the tooth object, which shows me how many teeth it has. So 70T, spur gear 70T right here. And also if I press period over here, it'll find it, spur gear 70T. 70 teeth, that's important to know exactly how many teeth you have for the math we're going to do in a little bit with drivers. It is so awesome and so much fun and so easy to get gears just working. And that's all I wanted to do, is make gears work, and I figured it out. So again, we select the core, then the teeth, Ctrl J to join. Awesome, and it keeps the teeth name. Core, then teeth, Ctrl J, Ctrl J. All right, okay, we have our 5 gears. Let's keep the 100 tooth one in the middle, and let's line up this right there, and there, and there. Now, once we got them generally laid out how we want, I'm going to zoom in and make sure that the teeth actually line up. So we're just going to move it right there, and afterwards I would build, you know, like a framework or arms or whatever to hold these actually in place if that's what I was going for. But first, I do suggest you do the gears first and then build a framework around them. Or else you'll be doing a lot of extra work. All right, so let's automatically animate this as our driving main gear. Right? This is like our starting, where our motor would be connected, our input drive. And to do that, very easy, we're gonna be animated on the Z-axis, right? Because everything is flat facing upwards. Oh, we didn't line this up. Let's move that down, up, and up. Okay, So this is our drive gear. So to auto animate it, we're gonna go to the Z rotation axis and type in $ frame times .01. So now if we play our animation, it's getting each frame of the animation, frame 1, frame 2, frame 3, and multiplying it by .01, and that is the new Z rotation for that frame. So forever, this will forever animate no matter how long I make this animation, whether I make it 5,000 frames, I don't ever have to do any keyframing or check on it or restart it. It'll just continue to rotate forever, and I love that. Okay, now here's the fun part, and I promise you this is way easier. I tried all kinds of animation for gears. I looked into rigid body physics, and it was just ridiculous. So I dumped that method and moved on. Then I looked into constraints, which is good for copying rotation, but there's limitations to that. Of course, there's always keyframing, but that's manual work, and it's a lot more tedious to get things to line up and the gears to work together. And then lastly, I discovered drivers, which is not only easy and low maintenance to set up, but also easy math can be used in the scripting to make everything work with the ratios and the sizes of the gears. And that's where the magic came in. So let's get that going right now. Select your drive gear and go to your object properties. Right click on that Z coordinate, that Z rotation, and go down to copy as new driver. So one click to copy it. Select your recipient gear. I don't know what that's called. Input gear, maybe the output gear. It's receiving, so I call it the recipient. And then go to the Z and right click and paste driver. Now, if I press play, it has the same speed, rotational speed, as the input gear, right? This is going 0.01 per frame. So is this one, but that's not correct. Not only that, but it's also not going the right direction. So we're going to right click on the driver of the recipient gear that we just set up and go to edit driver. Change the average value to scripted expression, which allows us to enter some basic math. And we're going to use some multiplication and division to get things going right. And don't worry, I hate math. Like, I barely passed pre-algebra in high school. So trust me, I don't like math, but this is super easy and you may appreciate learning a thing or two. So we're going to look at two things before we type in our math. We're going to look at how much teeth this gear has, which was 100, and how much teeth this gear has, which is 48. That's important. So go back to edit driver. We're going to multiply this rotation from input, the big wheel, multiply 100 divided by 48. And let's go back and put a negative, a minus sign. So it's basically multiply that Z rotation by negative 100 divided by 48. And look at that. Right when I hit enter, well, bam, perfect teeth interlocking. It just works like real gears do. The ratios are perfect because it's math. And the teeth are working together because they're all uniformly designed. These teeth are specifically made to work together. I used to make gears in Blender. I will never do that again. Blender, it needs some work when the gear creation add-on that it comes with it. It's good for fast stuff, but it doesn't have accurate gear teeth. And that's what I found out in my research for this video and for this product, was that Blender is not great for gears. And I found one that is good, and it's actually free. It's called Precision Gear Lite. I'll put the link in the description down below. It's awesome. I love it. I made all these gear teeth with it, and I highly advise you download it as well because you can do awesome stuff with it. And check this out. It's also non-destructive. I don't know how this works, but in my object settings, if I go down, look, I can still adjust the teeth. Watch this. If I change my number of teeth, look at that, it's updating. Now, I'm not going to do that because it's messing everything up, but you can go back and totally change these teeth settings, and that is just incredible. Wow. Okay, so we got one gear going. Now let's do that same process again. Now this is the drive gear and this is the recipient gear. So select your drive gear, scroll up, find our Z rotation, which you can see is changing before our eyes. Right click, copy as new driver, recipient wheel, right click, paste driver. Now this is 48 teeth and this one is 70 teeth. So on a recipient wheel, let's right click and go to edit driver. Let's do that same thing. We change it to scripted expression, which allows us to enter math times 48 divided by 70. And it's going the wrong direction, so I forgot to add my negative sign in there. Let's throw a dash in there, negative. There we go. Awesome. 48 divided by 70 give us that perfect gear ratio. Now let's go over here. The things are going to be speeding up, right? Because big gear to small gear means the small gear goes a lot faster. So let's copy as new driver. Let's paste that new driver right there. And this is going from 100 teeth down to 28 teeth. Edit driver, scripted expression, multiply by negative 100 divided by 28. Boom. Awesome. So it's going about almost 4 times as fast. This one over here is going to go a little faster. This is 16 teeth. So from 28 to 16, copy this gear in new driver, go to the recipient and paste. Right click and go to edit, scripted expression, multiplied by -28 divided by 16. Awesome. There we go. Now when the gears get spinning really fast, it's going to look like the cores are going at a different speed than the teeth. All that is just a frame rate issue. Don't trust your eyes because the gears are, if they're spinning really fast, you can't tell. Watch, I'll speed this thing up. I'm actually going to increase my drive gear speed, which is this one, from 0.01 to 0.1. And yeah, things are going really fast. Over here, it's hard to tell. Let's make it even faster, 0.4. Things are just going crazy. And that's another cool thing is I can adjust the speed. Watch this. If I delete this driver, look, all the other drivers are still there. So watch this. Isn't that cool? I can keyframe if I want. I can add a clock ticking keyframe, which uses keyframe modifiers to do this kind of thing. And everything else responds. That's awesome. To do that with bones or rigid body physics or constraints, it's just a pain in the butt. So you're welcome. This is the easiest, best method I've found for gears with interlocking teeth. All right, so the other part of this kit that's awesome is the materials. So far, I have only made 2 beautiful materials. I think I might make a third one just for fun. I'm going to make this gear just metal 2, whereas this gear will only be metal 1. Okay, so metal 1 is a beautiful procedural material. Let me let it render for a second so we can actually appreciate the quality here. And I'm going to start tweaking this and show you what all it can do. So if you go to the material tab, this is all a big detailed node group that allows you to adjust everything from edge wear, noise and bump, metal corrosion, and ambient occlusion, and much more. So let me set this all kind of back to the basic here, where there's nothing really happening. All right, so the heart of this procedural material is actually 2 BSDFs, which all have procedural noise. There's no image textures being used, although you totally can if you want. And the crossfade between these 2 materials, the flat metal and the reflective metal, is being controlled by a whole bunch of awesome sliders. All this you don't need to worry about. You don't ever have to touch this because of the node group that I made, which you can edit right here in the material tab. So if I increase the imperfection slider, we're going to begin to see the shiny metal popping through the surface. We can control the threshold of 2 different noises that have different styles to them. And now we're seeing the shiny metal pop through. If we lower our threshold even more, there's going to be more holes showing the shiny metal. And now it's more shiny than not. If we don't like that corrosion on the bump, we can just turn the bump off all the way down to 0. We can totally control the grit and detail of both of these noise patterns, including the scale. And my favorite, my Daniel Grove Edgeware shader, which will slowly reveal more shiny metal along the edges. It's a little hard to see at this angle. You can even add noise to that edge wear so that it's more irregular and destroyed. But if you want a cleaner gear, you can do that as well by just kind of turning down the imperfection and having these noise things just more of a subtle touch to add some irregularity so that things aren't perfectly shiny and smooth. Like so. There is another material included, which I have called Metal 2, which is much, much simpler. There's really not a whole lot of nodes going on. Just this right here, an ambient occlusion node into a color node, which allows you to set a color if you want. And there is some noise being layered on top, which you can control how much noise there's added to offset the roughness, so it's not a perfectly reflective surface. You can get some grit there depending on how dirty you want your gear to be. Well, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Definitely check out that gear pack online. I'm going to have it available for super cheap. I hope it helped you guys to make some awesome mechanical renders, and be sure to send me what you make with it. I love seeing y'all's work. If you have any questions about this or anything else, ask in the comments down below. Thanks for watching.